Okay, I'm going to install Build Essential on the production server. Okay, these are the packages it'll install. CPP. In other words, this is pretty much, and GCC. Okay. Alright, it's installed. Alright, I'm going to enable the rewrite, the status, and the vhost alias modules. Now I'm going to enable the status module. Apparently it's already enabled. Alright, let me enable the vhosts module. Vhost alias. Enabling module vhost alias. Okay, so they've all been enabled. Now let me do service Apache to restart. Okay, it's been restarted. Mission accomplished. Alright, when I ran this, okay, buscompanyx.com server status, I got forbidden. I believe the reason it's forbidden is because I'm trying to access the server status from a remote computer, whereas for my development environment, that's not the case. Okay, I'm just going to give up on server status. By the way, gxsam11.net also resolves to the same page on the server. Virtual hosts, I guess, are not enabled, so as long as the IP address is the IP address of the server, the web page will be this one. Anyways, right now, I'm going to create the best virtual host site configuration files I can come up with for both GXSAM11 and Bus Company X. I'm basically going over all the information that I already have because I've done this before. And I'm starting off by reviewing the information on my WordPress blog about setting up a web server. I want to read this paragraph right here. It should be noted that Apache configuration directives get applied just the same no matter which configuration file they exist in, as long as that file gets included in one of the other configuration files which get read when Apache starts. Sequence matters since directives which are the same overwrite each other. Okay, this is the most important sentence, this one right here. As of right now, the virtual host that is active is this one, right here. Alright, I want to see what it looks like. Alright, CD sites available. Alright, nano 000. Okay. I'm gonna scroll down here. The document root is var www.html. Let me scroll down some more. Okay, that's what the whole thing looks like. Previous page, Control Y. Alright. I wanted to figure out if there's a setting in the Apache configuration which is enabling virtual hosts. So, right now what you are seeing in front of you is apache2.conf, the main configuration file. And I am reading through it. The first significant thing I found. If you want to find the original documentation by Apache or the Apache organization, it is at this URL. There are specific instructions for Debian. Okay? Now, Ubuntu is a Debian. Okay? So, if you want things that are specific to Debian installation of Apache, they are located in this README file right here. There is a summary of these differences. This summary is right here in this configuration file. Okay? Basically what the summary says, I think what it's saying, is that the original Apache configuration is all in one configuration file. The Debian Apache configuration is devied out the way that I have been describing so far. Okay, which is all the the configuration files are distributed into different files. However, they are all referenced within the main Apache. The other thing is the fact that by its nature, Apache configurations are cumulative. So if you overwrite a previously read configuration, then the new one, the latest one, is the one which applies. Okay. This part is important. The section below sets the default security model of the Apache 2 HTTPD server. It does not allow access to the root file system outside of user share and var www. In other words, the configuration which you will find below this paragraph does this. It does not allow access to the root file system outside of user share and var www. The former, in other words this one, is used by web applications packaged in Debian. The latter, which is this one, may be used for local directories served by the web server. If your system is serving content from a subdirectory, for example in SRV, you must allow access here or in any related virtual host, okay? This is the important part. In any related virtual host, okay? So a directive that looks like this in a configuration file for Apache, what does that do? It specifies that the rules between the opening and closing tag apply to a directory, and that directory is the root directory. And this root directory refers to the root of the file system, not the root of the web server, okay? So for the root of the file system, require all denied. In other words, everybody is denied access to the root directory of the file system. I'm not sure what options follow symlinks and allow override none are, but those are also enforced for the other directories, like user share, allow override none, require all granted. So allow override none, allow override none. I don't know what allow override means. Okay, let me page down. Okay, now, for var www, okay, it has follow symlinks, options indexes. You know, I don't like that. Well, maybe I can disable it for the virtual hosts, okay? So I think what allow override none means is the allow override directive. This is an important document here. I'll read some of it. When the server finds a .htaccess file, it needs to know which directives declared in that file can override earlier configuration directives. When this directive is set to none, in other words, when allow override is set to none, and allow override list is set to none, .htaccess files are completely ignored. In this case, the server will not even attempt to read .htaccess files in the file system. However, when this directive, in other words, allow override directive, is set to all, then any directive which has the .htaccess context is allowed in .htaccess files. Okay, and here it gives you some options or arguments that you can use besides none and all. Okay, so if I say indexes here, then it's going to be indexes down at the bottom too. You know, in directories that are below this one. So, I don't know. I guess there's no harm in having indexes, because I'm going to take care of the problems that arise from that in another way. Alright. Require all granted. Okay. So, for www, this is what allows everybody to have access to folders that are underneath this one. Okay, now this one is commented out. But remember, I could have a directive like this for my virtual hosts, okay? So I can specify the access, which is like, it should be require all granted. I can specify that individually for my virtual host. Okay, in this section here, they talk about two important things. One is the access file name, and that's more commonly known as .htaccess. The other thing they talk about is allow override. It's saying that it has implications on the htaccess file. Okay. Here it's just telling you what the htaccess file is and how to specify its name. Okay, up here. Here it shows something that would make all access files, like htaccess files, unreadable to everybody. Okay? And this is a pretty useful expression, file match, and then it has some kind of regular expression. That way, any files that match this expression, you can apply a rule to them. Now down here, it talks about stuff related to formats of log files. I don't care much about log files right here. Alright, so let me go down. Now these are the ones that are important here. The include optional. Basically, that's the equivalent of in PHP of an include statement. Okay? So this is telling it to include all the extra snippets in the .conf files in conf enabled and in sites enabled. Okay? So, and that's the end. There's no more to the main configuration for Apache.